Ah, there you are. I think everyone has been there, right? Either your band comes up with a strange progression for a solo, or you might torture yourself by composing a complex riff that needs a melody or improvisation. Now in this lesson you'll learn the secret to get that sophisticated sound that you are looking for in the most crystal way possible. I'll show you how I like to tackle these complex situations and hopefully you gain some insights with that. Now watching this video may, or may not, provide you with substantial growth as a musician to create rich and beautiful sounds. Now if it resonates, why not connect to my channel to join me on an interesting musical journey? So yeah, what is a complex progression? Well, that's a good question. Well, last week I came up with this strange chord sequence: F major 7, D flat with an E in the bass, D major 7 and B flat with a C in the bass. And it sounds like this. See, sometimes the chords in such a progression do not belong to the same key, if there is a key at all. But then again, sometimes chords are not connected by a key, but by a single note or another musical concept, like for instance modal interchange or headbanging. In that case, it's hard to tie a rope at all. Now the progression you just heard sounds fine, but what the heck do we play over this? So that is what we're going to find out in this video. Now, although the sky is the limit here, we don't need to fly that high to get there. Let me show you what I mean. Now let's first look at the progression again. Now the chords do not seem to have a connection at first glance, right? Still, we can do a lot of things to make a coherent solo over this progression that sounds logical and beautiful. But first let's listen to the example solo that I made and that follows the progression and sounds like this. To make such a solo, we have to understand what is going on. So what is going on? Now first, most of the chords are not in the same key. Second, the same idea of the major 7 chord and the slash chord is repeated a minor third lower. Now this is called the sequential modulation. Analyzing this progression, we could say that the first and the last chord could be in the same key. The B flat over C could be seen as a C9 sus4 chord, which can function as a dominant for the F major 7 chord. Now the progression would render in an overwhelming amount of possibilities. So instead of using a ton of scales and arpeggios, we can walk another path. We'll take a more musical path by outlining the chords with our solo to create a melody that flows with the chords instead of a scale and arpeggio demonstration, if you know what I mean. Now, because looking at the possibilities for that first F major 7 chord alone, we could play an F major pentatonic scale, an F diatonic major scale, a C major scale that creates an F Lydian mode, triad pairs like for instance F major and G major to outline a Lydian vibe, or superimpose scales and arpeggios, like for instance an A minor pentatonic scale and an E minor pentatonic scale over an F major chord. And we haven't even discussed the context. What was before? What comes next? Often the choice is determined just by that. And as I said before, I took another route. I tried to outline the chords and the character of the progression with much simpler ideas. Now for the F major 7 chord, I chose an F major pentatonic approach in the 13th position that ends on the third A of the F major 7 chord. This note's A descends a half step to the A flat to start a line in the contrasting D flat major scale. And that half step connects the two chords, and we call this a leading tone or leading note. Now this is something that you want to look for when improvising over chord changes. It is the glue between those chords. Now the third and fourth chord in this progression is a transposition of the first two chords, but a minor third lower. Now this is called a sequential modulation, as I said before. Chords are D major 7 and B flat over C. Over these chords I use octaves, which sounds a bit jazzy, and this works all the time. Over the D major 7 chord I play the G sharp octave that results in a D Lydian sound. And after all these years I still and absolutely love that Lydian sound. For the second run I wanted more creativity and a development of the melody. And I was fed by my unhealthy bias towards defy when I thought of this signature lick in fifths. Now the notes of this lick contain the major triad, the major sixth and the ninth. And the idea is to stack perfect fifths on top of the root note F and use slides to change position. And it is a really nice expressive lick. Now the lick ends in the 17th position on the note A. And so for the D flat over E flat chord, I use the A flat in the 16th position that descends to E flat. Now the A flat creates a nice leading tone from A to A flat, gluing it all together. And we have made a connection with the previous lick that had the same leading tones A to A flat. Then over the D major 7th chord I used again a Lydian idea just like in the first round. And these similarities in the solo can bring order and structure in your solo that makes it much more pleasant to listen to. Now to create a Lydian vibe I thought of superimposing the A major 7 arpeggio over the D major 7 chord. And this adds the 9th, E, the Lydian sharp 11, G sharp to the overall sound in this bar. Now over the B flat over C, I wanted a different sound and choose for a C major pentatonic scale, where the added B flat at the end results in a C mixolydian scale. And that fits great over this chord. The mixolydian scale figure ends on the note E, which is the major 7th of the next F major 7th chord. That quickly descends to the sharp 11B of the F major chord, creating a Lydian sound. The B descends to the G sharp over the D major 7th chord, and the solo ends on the tonic F over the F major 7th chord, and stays present during the next bars, the next chords. Now we've seen a progression that asked more from us than just playing licks in a key or mode. Now the progression was short, like my memory, but complex, like my wife. None of the chords were in the same key, and we had to approach each chord as a standalone, more or less. Now still the chords were connected in several ways, and we made sure that our solo respected the relation between the chords by outlining them in a creative way. Now there are no rules for making a solo over these kind of progressions, but we can make use of our theoretical knowledge. In the end, of course, it's our creativity that deploys the theory in such a way that it evokes an emotion with our listeners. Now being creative with only 3 notes can result in a much more emotive solo than running up and down multiple scales and arpeggios. Still, a combination of both is often the way to go. Now, I hope this lesson was useful, so try to create complex progressions yourself and make a beautiful, interesting solo over that progression. And if it's ready, post it here so we can all enjoy. I'll post the backing track and tabs on my Patreon page so you can try your own ideas over this track. For now, my name is Rob van Hal and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!